All right, my next guest on Central Valley Talk is Jerry Mitchell, the author of In the Shadow of Wrath. He's a contractor by day, author by night. How are you, buddy?
Doing real good. Good seeing you.
We were talking during the break about how this came about, and you said a friend inspired you back in 2012 to sit down and start writing.
Yes. How this got started, I have a grandson. I just found out a few years ago that lives in Washington, and his mother's partner is a writer for Chicken Soup for the Soul, a series of books.
Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, and so with talking to her, she said the way I talk, I need to write, put it down in words because I go a long way around things. So she inspired me, and she's written the foreword and the introduction to this book.
So what's In the Shadow of Wrath? Does that refer to the grapes of wrath?
It's a paralleling the grapes of wrath in the sense, I've always been really interested in the grapes of wrath, what happened, because my family went through that. And my mom and dad...
The Dust Bowl.
The Dust Bowl. My mom and dad migrated in, I think, 1937, leaving the Dust Bowl, because they had 4 daughters at the time, and they were all getting sick, and, my dad was tired of the tornadoes going through Oklahoma City area, Ardmore, Oklahoma, actually, and so they got in the flow of the migration of the people to come west looking for work because there was no work back there. The Dust Bowl had the drought they have there is similar to the drought we're having here. That's one of the purposes for the book too. It's real dry, plowing. There's no work, hardly any work.
Well, what work did they find when they arrived here?
Well, they stopped in Arizona for quite a few years. I was born in Arizona. My older brother was born in Arizona, and when they moved here, they settled in Terabella, Tulare County, down south, and they did oranges, olives, and picking and things like that.
Whatever you have to do to survive at that point.
Exactly. And when they moved here, they had 7 kids, so my dad had to find plenty of work.
Yeah. Now the subtitle of your book is A Veteran's Journey. Does your experience, Vietnam, right?
Yes.
Vietnam, does that tie into the story?
It really does in a lot of ways because the things I've learned from my parents, being a low income, having almost nothing, just clothes, and we had plenty of food. It taught me to respect and appreciate what I've got and what I've had, and the obstacles that we crossed. The bullying and that type thing gave me the strength. So when I went to Vietnam, I was 68, 69. It gave me the strength and the courage and the knowledge that hey, I've got to overcome that, just like I did in high school or grade school or something like that.
In a nutshell, what's the story about?
The story is about my parents migrating here, things I went through in the 60s, American Graffiti type thing in Modesto, because I was raised in Modesto, went through that. And what I'm hoping people get from the book is appreciation for a veteran, start off with, and to realize that people go through different problems or different obstacles that they cross to get where they're at and what they're doing. And like when I worked my way through school, through State College here in Fresno State, what brought me to Fresno, and when I graduated in '74, I was in debt, $20,000 or $30,000 in debt. So people going to college can work if they go through college or something and not be in debt, and not worry about paying off a big amount of money in debt. So, but my hope is that people who read it will see that the journey that a veteran has gone through, and me specifically, has gone through to get where they're at, and what I've done to accomplish what I have, which is not a lot, but it's a little bit.
Oh, you've written the book. That's more than I've done. All right. You told me you've already written a second book. You're working on a third book. Are they tied to this, or are they completely separate stories?
They're sort of separate stories, but the second book is related to this because it's called Children of the Wrath, and it's about my mom and dad when they first got married, as I mentioned, lived in a tent on a riverbank because they were poor farm laborers in Oklahoma, and they've ended up having 8 kids, and each of the 8 kids have a story. An individual story, the things they went through, the challenges how they've overcome, and the 4 older sisters, or actually 5 older sisters, taking care of the younger ones, and how the family worked to get together to survive and things like that.
So that's the second book.
The second book.
The third one?
The third book, I've only got about 50 pages or 52 pages on that. It's called The Joys and Anguish of a Grandparent, or Grandfather in this case, and it's about me personally meeting my two grandchildren. One's a grandson in Washington, and a granddaughter in Texas. I didn't know I had these grandkids. The granddaughter I knew when she was 9 months old, because her mother called. She's in real estate too, and she called me here in Fresno. And the grandson I didn't meet until 2012 in Washington State, and it's really a joy just to know these kids. And I've got one more granddaughter. I know it is, but I haven't met her yet, and I'm still looking for her. I think she's in Modesto, and I'm still trying to search that out. But the joy is struggling. The anguish of struggling, knowing that they're struggling, the not knowing. But then the joy is finding them, getting acquainted with them, and let them know who I am. And it's kind of a neat trip.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to your second and third books. But right now, In the Shadow of Wrath, A Veteran's Journey, where can folks find this?
They can find it on iUniverse.com.
iUniverse.
It's a small iUniverse.com.
Okay.
Or Amazon.com. Or they can call me at the phone number, I think it's on the lower part of the screen. And I have some at my house.
Okay. And you're trying to set up some local stores where you might be able to do some signings and
am.
things?
I'm doing some work as a contractor, doing some work for the Costco north of town, and I'm in the process of getting something set with them, because they work with local people.
Right.
So I can sign the books and just talk about the books or whatever the people want.
Excellent.
It's kind of a neat deal.
Jerry Mitchell, nice meeting you.
Thank you, John. Mike, thank you.
In the Shadow of Wrath, A Veteran's Journey, right here on Central Valley Talk.